Are you considering or new to intermittent fasting, but you don't know how hunger pains are going to be a hurdle to get over? I'm here to help. I've been fasting for 3 years and I almost never deal with hunger pains anymore, but it didn't always start that way. Let's get into it. As I mentioned, I've been doing this 3 years, and the one cool thing that I've really learned is hunger isn't constant. There is going to be a point on occasion, maybe daily for you, it did eventually go away for me, where you hit this point where you feel hungry. And I know from an outsider looking in, people probably assume that as an intermittent faster, once you feel hungry, you are starving until you get to your eating window. It does not have to be that way. It's okay if you feel this way in the beginning, and if you feel like you have to push yourself to get through the fast, you are gonna change habits. You can't go from eating all day long to fasting and not feel hungry. That is not gonna happen instantaneous. The cool thing is your body is gonna adjust. Your body is gonna learn. If you're hungry and you don't feed it, it has reserves to go into. For me, thighs, butt, hips. Fasting will become your normal, and if you learn to get through these hunger humps, you're gonna find success in the long term. First of all, you need to reframe your thinking. If you get to a point where you feel hungry, instead of letting it be dread, be excited about it. And I know this sounds ridiculous, but here's what I wanna share with you. If you get to a point where you're feeling hungry and you don't feed yourself, and this is something you have to get to as an intermittent faster. You might not be able to go 22 hours right away. Don't feel like you have to. Adjust. But at some point, you're gonna hit an hour where all of a sudden you're hungry and you're not ready to break your fast. Here's what you need to remind yourself. Your body has stored fuel. Fat in your body is stored fuel. And if you don't give it an immediate fuel source, your body will learn to go look for it. And that is what you really want to do. There is a really cool example that Dr. Jason Fung gives, and he is a scientist, he's a doctor, and he researches insulin and your body's response and fat loss and fasting, all of it together. I'm not that person. I can't give you the nitty-gritty. I'll link to a web page and maybe a video if I can find the video as well below that really details this, but it's a very simple illustration of if your body has food in the fridge, the food like you instantly eat and there's food in the fridge, why would it go to the basement to get the food out of the freezer, which is your stored fat? You need to not have food in the fridge or your instant feeding for your body to go access the food that's harder to get. Feeding your body is much easier for it to access that fuel source than going to your fat stores. So you need to train your body that when you don't feed it, it needs to access the fat stores. And that's where weight loss comes in. And that's where fasting can be a great tool for weight loss, but you have to get there. Part of that is pushing through hunger pains. So one thing that I learned early on was to think of hunger signs as a good thing. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but I got to a point where when I would feel hungry and I wasn't ready to break my fast, I would get kind of excited thinking, oh, this is a point where my body's gonna start to take the fat that I don't want and turn it into a fuel source. And this is very scientific. Again, I'm not the scientist to explain it, but reading books like Obesity Code, Fast, Feast, Repeat, Appetite Correction, there's so many of them that talk about hunger and fasting together. I highly recommend, and all of them are linked below, but your body is going to learn new habits as you become a faster. And hunger isn't gonna be constant, but you do have to train yourself and you do have to learn to get through the hunger humps. So my number one first piece of advice is to change your point of view. When you feel hungry, let it be an exciting thing, because when you don't satisfy the hunger with food, your body is gonna learn to go to your fat stores. And if you came to fasting for weight loss just like I did, that's exciting. Let it be exciting. One thing I want to throw out there is, remember, I am not a medical professional. I am giving you advice from someone who has learned to adapt to the fasting lifestyle. So if you are feeling lightheaded or you're seeing stars in your eyes and you think you're gonna pass out, I'm not talking about pushing through that. You need to know there's a safety level, and that is for you to decide. I'm talking about when boredom hits or you hit that point where you're like, normally I'd be eating lunch now, this is getting hard, but it's not a health concern. I'm talking about pushing through that kind of hunger. And I just want to be clear about that. I absolutely love the book Fast, Feast, Repeat. It was the book that was a huge catalyst to me on my fasting journey. And one thing that Jen talks about in her book is that hunger isn't a constant state. Okay, so here is Fast, Feast, Repeat, and just one of the examples of where it talks about it is how fasting helps to reduce your ghrelin, the hunger hormone, It helps to increase your satiety hormone, leptin. So there's a lot of information in this book, definitely a recommended read. When you push through hunger, you're gonna get through that feeling of boredom eating or true hunger where your body needs fuel, and it's gonna pass, but you have to learn to push through it, and that's where distractions are a really, really great thing. I actually made a video, 101 ways to push further into a fast, where I just kind of listed and showed 101 different things that you could do or that I do. If I feel hungry, I distract myself, basically. I have a huge video on it, but here are some of my absolute favorite ways to push into a fast when I start to feel hungry. Distraction is literally the name of the game. Number one, my absolute favorite is have a new beverage. A lot of times I want to make sure I'm hydrated, and I'm not someone that tracks my water or knows exactly how much you should have of water, but staying hydrated is one really important way to make sure I don't feel hungry when I'm really just thirsty. So if I feel hungry and I'm not ready to break my fast, I'll make myself a fresh ice water. I love ice water, it's very refreshing. Or I'll make a new hot cup of coffee. I might open a sparkling water. I like to have those in the evening as a treat because I don't drink them all day long. When I open a new one, it just feels like a treat, even though it's just sparkling water, and it becomes a ritual. So if when you feel hungry, you make yourself a fresh drink, it's gonna be something you start to look forward to. Very similarly, I have a Panera Sips membership. If you've been around a while, you know I love Panera and their Sips membership. I pay very little a month to have unlimited access to their fresh coffee, whether decaf, bold, light brew, their iced coffee, their iced tea, and I drink them often. So if I have the time and the ability, I will get in my car and I'll go get a fresh drink. The drive, the getting ready to go, the washing my cup, the filling my cup, bringing it home, all of that is distraction, and I have a fresh beverage on top of it. That is like my literal favorite one, but I'm not as able to do that anytime that I feel hungry. I have to have all the stars aligned to be able to go out, so may not be as easy for you either. Another go-to for me is to do a chore that I hate. And yes, I purposely picked to do one that I hate because it does two things. I get the satisfaction of pushing through hunger, and then I get the satisfaction of getting something that I hate done. My personal least favorite chore is taking care of laundry. I do a load of laundry minimum every single day. That means at least once a day I have a load of laundry to take care of. When I am trying to distract myself, I take care of the load of laundry because, again, it's killing two birds with one stone. I push through the hunger and I get to have that chore done. You can also do a guilty pleasure. A guilty pleasure could be things that you normally feel bad doing. If you're trying to get past a hunger hump, guess what? Binge the next show on Netflix or to take a nap. If you have the ability, that could be a perfect distraction. Like, one, I always feel bad if I take a nap during the day. I'm kind of a go, 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 need to get stuff done type person. But if I'm trying to distract myself, do something that's like a guilty pleasure. Get that nap in, pass the time, get through the hunger hump, and don't feel bad about it. Doing something you love will help the time pass pleasurably. Call or text a friend. Again, socializing, having someone else in your presence, doing something with someone, it's gonna be very distracting and you're not gonna have time to focus on the hunger. You could do an exercise or go on a walk. I hate to throw out exercise because I'm not trying to be like, don't eat and get your physical activity in, burn the calories, don't feed yourself. Like, that's not my point of view. It's just more of something that can make you feel good, that can be really good to do as you're distracting yourself from hunger pains. My personal favorite is going on a walk, but that to me is a huge mental benefit more than a physical benefit. I love to get out of my house, be by myself, go on a walk, enjoy the neighborhood, and get peace. Finally, and this one can be really added to any of the other ones, put on an audiobook, music, podcast, get your earbuds in or blast it loud in your house, and you could do it while you're doing the chore or you could do it while you're on a walk. But podcasts and audiobooks are huge for me in terms of distracting me. Anything I don't want to deal with, it's a great distraction. It gets me in a different world. Bottom line, hunger is not constant. You can push through it and you can learn to adapt to fasting lifestyle. And once you are building that fasting muscle and you're really good at it, here's the really great news. You don't have to push through it as often. I can easily fast 20, 22 hours most days. And if I notice that I'm feeling hungry, it's not like a hard thing to get through. It's like, okay, I'm hitting that point where I'm probably reaching closer to ketosis. Go, Jackie. And it's not a constant battle. Like, I do feel really good most of my days while fasting. And it wasn't the same on week 3 as it is in year 3. Actually, I'm in year 4 now. I've passed 3 years. That is something I want to encourage you with. Hunger isn't constant. Dealing with hunger gets easier as you become a better faster because your body isn't constantly wondering, Jackie, why aren't we eating all day? No, it knows. We fast. We spend most of our day not eating, and it's a very normal state to be fasted. And it's exciting to get there. You just have to do the work. You have to distract yourself. And sometimes you have to distract yourself from being excited to eat in your eating window. That's what I deal with more. Like, oh, I know we're gonna have that amazing meal later today. It's more of the excitement of what's coming in my eating window. I deal with that more than I do hunger. But again, distract yourself. Put on an audiobook. Get the chore done that you don't wanna do. Or another awful one, change your sheets. I do it, it's not my favorite, but it's a great distractor. There are days where I do feel true hunger. Often it's right before my period starts. And guess what? I give myself grace, and that is another option. Give yourself grace. Just because I normally fast 20 to 22 hours a day, if right before my period starts and I feel quite hungry at 18 hours, I let myself eat. I have a longer eating window. I don't beat myself up about it. I do what I can to push through the hunger to get the longer fast because I know that's what feels really good. But there are days where I truly feel hungry when I normally wouldn't on other days. And I go with my body, I listen to my body. The longer I fast, the more I trust myself and the more I can be in tune with what's true hunger or what needs to be ignored. And you do learn it. I promise you, you will learn it the more you fast. If you want to see my entire 101 ideas, you can check out this video right here and let me know in the comments what ones I missed. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao, done and ciao.